Alpha Decor. That's designing soft furnishings, creating drapes, cushions, beddings, etc. to homes, offices, and commercial spaces. And then as a milliner, under the business name of By Alpha Couture, and that's designing and creating fascinators, hats and headpieces for the fashion-conscious woman. I initially worked as a medical secretary for 10 years before starting my own business. I've been doing soft furnishings now for over 25 years and been in the millinery business for over 11 years. With time, I'm gradually letting Alpha Decor take a break as I concentrate my energies on the millinery side of work. Aside work, I enjoy entertaining and helping out as much as I can. In a nutshell, that's me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wow. Powerful. Thank you, mommy.
Hello, everybody.
Hello,
I'm
Daddy.
Bob Handel, privileged to be the husband of Janet, who introduced herself just barely a couple of seconds ago. I am a retired water and semi-retired, actually, water and environmental engineer. And most of my professional life has been as a chief technology officer with a company called Hydro International, involved in developing and commercializing several award-winning water and environmental technologies. Currently, I'm an adjunct professor at University of Energy and Natural Resources in Sunyani, Ghana, where I'm providing a bit of training and mentoring for postgraduate students. So that's me. My interest and passion, reading. I used to play guitar at church, but being in a semi-retired mode, I haven't done that in a long while. So I'm looking forward to our discussions this evening. And yeah, that's me.
Awesome, 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 awesome. Wow. Thank you so much, Daddy. God bless you. Next on our panelist, we will call Mrs. Ruth Tanya to introduce herself.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
My name is Rutanya, a wife, a parent, and a Christian woman who loves God, and an upcoming small business woman with a company name, Dama and Farms, and the branding name is Ruth Choice, shea butter, organic shea butter, and African black soap. I love the Word of God, and my interest I develop in discussing marriage. I like discussing marriage a lot, and that is about me. As now I work in a company called Carmet as a return goods processing technician. That is me. Thank
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much, Mama Ruth. Thank you. God bless you. Next on our list, we will call our very own Mr. Okanta to introduce himself.
Hello, good evening, everyone. And I think I go without too much introduction. Most of you have, have met me at some point. Um, I'm a husband. I'm a father. Professionally, I currently manage an airport operation with British Airways, if I should say that. My interests are vast and part. I like everything. I like creating stuff. I like to do things with my hands. I like to engineer things by myself. I love to impact that into other people as well. So I support. I'm also a church. How do I say it? I'm a man of God in a way. I like to preach. I love everything about God and our I will, learning about God. I love talking about parenting. I love talking about relationships. I love anything that I love to talk. Let's just leave it like that. So, I think most of you have met me at one point in your life in various ways, and I'll just leave it at that. Thank you so much for having me tonight. Mommy Christy, I'm done.
Oh, sorry, I was talking. I didn't know I was on mute. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Okanta, for the introduction. Thank you all our panelists for the warm introduction. God bless you all. So we will start with our first question. And family, as I said, if you just entered the room, our main topic is being authentic parents. We know that we have different ways of parenting. So this is the reason why we put up this roundtable discussion, that we will all have different ideas, different aspects of parenting, because I believe that there is no one way of parenting. Just like when it comes to relationship, marriage, there is no one formula, one way of, making marriage successful. There are different aspects, different approaches, different things that you do. So hence the reason why we put up these roundtable discussion, for us to listen to other views. Maybe you might be in panelist A's view point of way of parenting. Maybe you might be in the other point of view of parenting. Either way, it's not wrong, but we are all here to learn from each other, to motivate each other, to empower each other, so that we will learn and then we will apply it in our daily lives. I'm having some feedback. I don't know if, okay. All right, thank you so much. So, as I said, if you have any questions, you can drop it in the chat box, or you can send it to me privately. You can raise your hands, and then we will all, make this session very impactful. So, our first question: how can parents balance authenticity? Sorry, I jumped too high. Okay, the first question is, in your own understanding, define being an authentic parent. In your own understanding, define being an authentic parent. And this first question, I will hand it over to Mr. Okanta.
Okay. If I may just jump in real quick. So I think being authentic to start off with is being genuine to yourself, or being self, being truthful, being approachable, being honest, and being self-aware. So to be a parent in that fashion, I think it's a style of parenting where it's rooted in honesty, self-awareness, um, emotional connection, and being involved in genuine interaction with your child. Being the most truthful self you can be, without a biasness of societal influences or anything else. It's just being genuine. And I think that is what authenticity really means. So I'll leave it that for the other panelists to actually contribute to it as well.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. Being genuine. All right. Okay, next, I will ask Professor or Mama Janet to come in.
Yeah, I think we'll get Mama Janet to kick off. Ladies that have
I had to zoom out of my laptop. I think you're getting feedback. Is it better now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So as I see it, authenticity is avoiding the myth that we all see on social media and keeping it real. Authenticity can set you free. The truth sets you free. So authenticity sets you free. Being an authentic parent is one who's truthful, admitting your struggles so you can help your kids through theirs. It's what I call authoritative genuineness, talking about your life authentically, knowing your own story well enough so that you can tell your child what you're going through, and showing them empathy and compassion, because they will go through sadness, they'll go through joy, they'll go through disappointments. So in our genuineness, we can guide them through care and structure. I believe that our children need to know what we've gone through as struggles, just as much as they are going to go through it someday. And we need to admit that we have fear sometimes and we need help too. We need to be as good parents as possible, be human, that's imperfect, to show our children what life is all about. We'll have authenticity if we can live it truthfully and let them know that we argue, we struggle, but at the same time, we want to be genuine to gain their trust. Thank you.
I'll add a
Thank you
few
so much.
things from my perspective as well, just to add on. I think I'll say that authenticity involves reflecting your own personal values, beliefs, and emotions in a parenting style, because kids take a lot of their emotional intelligence and their belief systems from the environment they grow in. So that's a crucial part of parenting. And I think as well as what the other panelists have said, it involves combining honesty, empathy, and structure to guide children through life's challenges. Yeah, but I think the other panelists have said it all in terms of answering this first question.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Mama Ruth, do you want to add up?
Being an authentic parent, I see it to be showing yourself as real. You are not faking. You are transparent. You are caring. You are knowledgeable. And you have values that you want to carry forward to your children. So you are being human. You are not showing yourself as if you are perfect, so that you never err. But we let our children know that as a parent, you have ups and downs. So you admit them and guide them in a way that they will just believe in themselves. But by showing how close and relationship that you want to create between them, and let them know that they are as equal as you are, but you set boundaries and limitation to that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mama Ruth. And thank you, all our panelists. That was a great one. I kept hearing being real, being genuine, being honest, setting boundaries, and living your real self, not following what social media is being said on social media, but rather following who you are, your real self, your true self. Awesome. I see some chats in our chat. Okay, so the first one is, in what ways do we prioritize authenticity over perfection in your parenting approach? And then the second one is using your vulnerability as a tool. Okay. All right. So I'll come back to that question. There is a question in the chat box, but I'll come back to it. And I don't know if, Lady Na, your response was towards the question or the first questions that were, asked, or is towards Sister Audrey's question. But Lady Na was also sharing that using your vulnerability as a tool. I believe it's towards Sister Audrey's question. Okay. I will come back to that question, Sister Audrey. Thank you so much for the question. So, our next question here, since we know what authentic parent or parenting is, my next question is, how can parents balance authenticity with setting boundaries and discipline in their children's lives? Because I heard during the submission of our panelists, I heard setting boundaries. So I want to ask that, how can parents balance authenticity with setting boundaries and discipline in their children's life? And I will ask Mama Ruth to go first.
When we said like as a parent, I would say when you are bringing up a child, just bear in mind that you are leaving a legacy for your children's future. And when you are not there, you just make sure that, like, if you have a firstborn, like, let me see if see it at this angle, your firstborn or your first two children, I see them as that is your first generation you are creating. So you just have a determination that you are setting the button, like you are riding a relay, and the baton is holding you. So you just determine that as you are starting with that relay, you will hand it over well to your next generation. And with that generation that you are setting up, you know there is a saying that if you bring up your child well as a first generation, you don't worry about your grandchildren, because you know the impact that you made to that child is automatically that he is going to pass it on, he or she is going to pass it on to the next generation, who is your grandchild. So I see it to be like when you are setting boundaries, you have your boundaries, like my daughter is my friend, my son is my friend, but that friendship, I have to limit it and set boundaries and know that you are my child, not a friend. You are a friend, like he is your friend or she is your friend, but the friendship has to have a limit. It comes to a time that you show that you are a parent, bring the correction in, know that the legacy that you are leaving, like their moral behavior, they are doing something. You, because of the love that they have for them, doesn't show that when they are doing something that is not right, the wrong aspect of it, you just accept because you are my friend, so I have to pamper you. You set boundaries when it comes to the relationship because you are my friend, but due to the relationship that I have with you, the friendship has to have a limit. If I have to correct you, I just put that friendship aside and know that I'm bringing you up, setting up a rule, a baton, and give it to you for you to run with it, because I don't want to mess up my first generation. So I set boundaries and let you know that this is acceptable. Your moral behavior, you have to respect. You have to love God. You have to fear God. You have to do this. You have to set boundaries when you are doing things that are like when I'm trying to correct you to do something. You don't just argue with me like I'm your age mate, but I have to prove to you that I'm a mother. I'm a parent. So that is the limitation and the boundaries that you have to set when bringing up a child.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so the question on board here is, how can parents balance authenticity with setting boundaries and discipline in their children's life? How can parents balance authenticity with setting boundaries and discipline in their children's life? And our mama gave us some wisdom. And I'll move on to our next panelist for the sake of time. I'll say, I don't know if Prof or Mama Janet
Yeah.
will go first.
Chrissy, I'll contribute. I'll add a few comments and then yeah. I think in terms of balancing authenticity with boundaries and discipline, I think for me, the first rule is that you need to communicate rules and their reasons very clearly. Communication is key in this regard. You need to communicate the rules and their reasons. You need to reason with the child. Although he or she might be a child, you got to treat them a bit like they're adults, that they have reason, they have sense. So you communicate the rules and their reasons, and if you communicate the reasons why and they understand why, it makes it easier. And then you need obviously to enforce boundaries with empathy and fairness. You don't put in rules that are so stifling that you restrict them too much, and it doesn't allow them to express themselves and allow their creativity and their individuality to come out. You need also to model authenticity by recognizing and validating emotions and fostering open communications. That's very, 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 very important. You need to be authentic, as we already talked about, being an authentic parent. But you need to validate emotions. Don't set it upside that they bottle things up and they don't able to talk to you about how they're feeling and so on and so forth. And so you have to have an atmosphere that fosters open communication. You got to use positive language. You need to focus on behaviors, not the character. Don't attack them as a person. You talk about the behavior not being right, and avoid damaging self-esteem. Children usually have can have low self-esteem. They are now building up or getting to know themselves and their role or how they fit into society. So some of them are very, very vulnerable. So you got to avoid damaging their self-esteem. That's very, very important. And you obviously have to provide choices. Stay calm and use the I statements to express needs. I need you to clean up your room. And you got to show accountability by apologizing for mistakes and offering physical affection. This is an area where my wife is quite very good at. I'll ask her to.
But he said it all. I mean, yes, children learn from what they see. So we have to make sure to model authenticity ourselves. We've got to recognize and validate their feelings, teaching them that emotions are normal and acceptable. Listen attentively to your child, ensuring that they feel heard and understood. And like Bob said, stay calm and patient. Regulate your emotions, responding thoughtfully rather than reactively. I think we'll leave it for there.
And I'll say you need to create a nurturing, structured environment to support the child's growth. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much, Professor and dear mommy. Mr. Okanta.
Well, to be honest with you, I think our moms and our dad has said it all. In all fairness, I mean, the little bit that I will add to it, and just to amplify the genuineness of what we are doing. So, knowing self is always a great thing to do, and knowing what we are and who we are before we start parenting anybody. Because to be authentic itself, you have to understand who you are and what you're trying to impact. Making sure that what you are impacting is not, excuse me to say, fake in any shape or form, or you are not pretending to be somebody, because we also have to look at things from a child's perspective, and the child does not understand and see things the way we as parents see them. So we're talking about genuine parenting. Most of the time we look at the parent's view, but not looking at it from the child's view, how they perceive certain things. So most of the time we act and not really look at it how the child is going to digest that action. So yes, I want to be friends with you. I want to be, I want to be able to communicate with you effectively, but I also want to make sure that I set the proper boundaries. I tell you what I need, like our daddy said, state what you need to be stating, but make sure that it is understood really that you need them to be doing this by using the I statements. I need you to do this. I would like for you to do this, meaning I'm giving you an option. I want us to do something. That means the child's choice also matters. But if I need you to do something, I need you to do this. And then when we model that through the child, they tend to also understand when daddy says something or when mommy says something, this is what mommy wants us to do. When mommy wants my opinion and I want to be, she wants an opinion from me, I can also share without being afraid to talk to my parents as well. So I think in all, we just have to be open enough to understand that the child is going to take whatever we deliver to them or however we say to them. they need to understand that you are a child. I'm going to be a friend to you, but I need you to listen when I need you to listen. And that is the key pieces there. So that's my little add on.
Wow, thank you so much, Mr. Kanta. Thank you, all our dear panelists. So then I'll go ahead, since the question that Sister Audrey asked is in line with the submissions that came in. I'll go ahead and ask. It says, in what ways do we prioritize authenticity over perfection in your parenting approach? In what ways do we prioritize authenticity over perfection in your parenting approach? And I'll open it up for any of the panelists who wants to answer.
Okay. If I may just touch on this briefly so that I can leave it to the rest. I think there is nothing like perfection, if I should put it like that, in our parenting ways. I don't believe in perfection. I believe in being genuine enough and treating the child the way you want them to be. Um, you aren't perfect, so we're not seeking for perfection. But what we're seeking for really is a child that is self-aware, is honorable, is disciplined, is able to relate to other people within the community without creating confusion and violence. People that support other people's as well, and be able to say we believe, or we can deal with or coexist with other people, right? So I think when we talk about perfection, we anyway, let me leave it at that, because I maybe I'm not grasping the whole thing properly, but I don't think a perfect child is ever existed. They are going to talk about flaws and weaknesses and things like that, and I think that is what we were discussing earlier, where we have to be genuine enough to say, my child is going to have some weaknesses, my child is going to have this, my child is going to go through some trouble times there, but the whole point is they are reacting with other people within the community, their friends, their colleagues, they are in their environments, and these people are not going to be perfect, so they have to be able to coexist with them, and I need to be able to teach my child that as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any more submission?
Oh, I would just say we empower our children. You have to empower your child to be able to speak out their mind, no matter how the situation, but in a respectful way. And you have to let the child have their own way of making their own choice, to choose and choose right. But you don't impose your choice on them to make the choice that because you are a parent. So you start from the top down kind of treatment. That is not going to help. And being emotional available to support them. So in case they are doing something that they think they are not bold enough to come out to make a choice, you always suggest for them and allow them to make their own choices. And being real to your children. Like, you don't let your child know that you never fail in life. You prove to them that the child might have B or C or D. You let them know that you ever had that too, so that they will not look at you like there's nothing like failure in life. If not, we're going to mess their life up, because it will come to a time when they start failing, they will not know how to shape themselves and correct it from the your their own way, how they perceive life to be. So what I would say is that we allow them to make their choices and be real to them and let them know that you ever failed, but upon failing, you were able to correct yourself. Because I know some parents who come in and said, "Oh, I've never had B, I always had A." But it's not true. It might be true in some way, but encourage your child, because if you don't encourage them in that angle, they will grow up, and when they are failing, they relax because they know they cannot make any correction and amendment in their lives. So what I see is that we allow them to make their own mistakes and correct them through your guidance, and emotionally be available to have sympathy with them, and help them upgrade themselves. You don't just let them rely on prayers alone. Sometimes we say pray, 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 but let them know that you balance life. It's not prayers alone. You have to balance it and know that sometimes there's time for prayers and there's time you have to also come in as a human and make your own mistakes and correct them. That's what I've seen. That is going to balance that for the child to grow up well.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mommy. Thank you. Professor and Mommy, please, do you want to add up?
Just a little bit. I think most of it has been already said. Yes. But I'd like to say that nobody's perfect. No parent is perfect. No child is perfect. So I think it's very important to acknowledge imperfections and then learning from mistakes, because that's a critical skill in life. Life has several ups and downs, cycles, and no condition is permanent or situation is permanent. And it's life itself is a learning process, a lifelong learning process. So encourage them to acknowledge imperfections. You yourself as well as the child. I realize that they're not perfect, but they can aim for the stars. And as they continue aiming for the stars, they'll rise and achieve their full potential in life. But when you get knocked down, you don't cry and wallow in misery. You dust yourself up and then go charge ahead. So learning from mistakes is a key life skill that we need to encourage them to have.
Just to add to that, you should avoid excessive criticisms. Don't constantly point out flaws or compare your child to others. My daughter really hated that. She said, "Mommy, you're always comparing me to others, but we're all different." Also, micromanaging, give your child the space to make their own choices. If they fall, like my husband said, they will rise up again. So sometimes you've got to give them the space to learn from their own experiences. Don't set expectations that are too high for your child's age or ability. Look at their age and then say, okay, your time, it's time you can do this, so we'll try it. If you can't, don't, blame them for it. Bring them a step lower and then they'll get there. I think that would be it.
Yeah, in fact, what you just said brought to mind. One of the things we did was we reached out to our daughter to ask her to give us some feedback on our parenting style, and she gave us some very interesting feedback. I think we'll share that towards the end of, yeah. But yeah, okay.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'll read from the comment section. It says, practice what you preach, rules, reasons, and consequences. 1, train when you, and then 2, coach when older. Lady Na, can you please unmute your mic and explain what you wrote if you are available? Practice what you preach / rules, reasons, and consequences. 1, train when you, and then 2, coach when older.
I was saying, because we're talking about authenticity and boundaries, you have to teach them like boundaries. No?
Oh,
If
okay.
I do this, this is what happens. You cannot cross this boundary. I don't do it. In this family, we don't do this. So when you practice it, let me give you an example. Maybe at 9 o'clock, everybody put their cell phone outside the room. You don't sleep with your cell phone. You don't sleep with electronics. You all put it at a place at 9 o'clock. So we all do it. If you tell your child, do it, and you, the parent, is not practicing it, then there are no boundaries. Then the child will look at you and say, you are telling me to do something, but you are not practicing it yourself. And when they are children, when they are younger, that they don't understand, you can have a very, I won't say sensible conversation, but they are not at your level yet. You train them. In the morning, we all put our phones here. In the night, we all do this. At this time, we do this. Then they follow suit. As they grow, you explain why you are doing that to them. Bear in mind, you have to know about how your child also reacts. I heard that one of the panelists was saying about their daughter. which is so true because I have more than one child and the same rules is interpreted differently by my kids. So you have to also bear in mind how to communicate with the kids, how to explain it with the kids. But as they grow, they get you. Now you see why mommy was telling you to do this when you were 6 years? Because you need your sleep. It is 9 p.m. Everybody needs to sleep. Let's go sleep. They get it. But when they are young and you say 9 o'clock, go sleep, put your computers here, they don't get it. So you have to practice what you preach. You have to know they have to know the rules, reason behind those rules, and the consequences so that they don't cross the boundaries. If you don't tell them and they cross it and you punish them, they don't get it. You have to explain all these things to them. And as they grow, especially teenagers and the early 18, they are adults. When you talk to them like adults, they get it better. That's what I was trying to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank
Hello.
you.
I want to add up something if I'm allowed.
Sure, sure. Mommy, you can go ahead.
Like what she said, I remember I was driving with my daughter, and I warned her when she's driving, she shouldn't pick up a call when even if somebody is calling. She should park before. But I do it when I'm driving and somebody is calling. Always on the person. Mommy, you told me not to do this, and you are doing it. So she is very right because they normally practice what we not advice doesn't change a child, but your examples, the one whatever you see they see you doing is what they practice. Instead of you advising they don't do this. So what our sister said is true. She said, Mommy, you said I shouldn't drive and pick up call, but here you are doing it. So it's true. We have to practice what we do so that they'll
I
follow.
also quickly add on when she's done.
Okay, okay. Go ahead, Maruth.
But what she's saying is true, true, true. I remember I remember as a kid, my dad was a hotelier, and so he used to take us to the hotel every evening. So we'll sit in the car behind him and then he'll be driving. When he gets to a stop sign, we all know that red means stop. My dad will look left and look right, and when there's no car coming, he will just zoom past. But we were kids, so we dared not say anything. Then one day I gathered the courage and I said, Daddy, this red thing means stop. Why are you going? He says, shh, don't do what I do. Yes.
Do as I say.
Do what I say, yeah, but not as I do. So it's very, very true. They look at us and they copy us. So we've got to be very careful.
Yeah. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. So, with that being said, that means we, the parents, we are first, the teachers for our kids. So, everything that we do, our first mentors. So, in other way, if you think that you are just a normal human being enjoying your life, living your life anyhow, you have mentees at your home that you are mentoring that you are not aware of. So, anything that we do, the conversation sometimes the conversations that we even have the kind of languages that we use, these kids they are very very smart. And I will give an example. What mommy said, one of our children, we were having a conversation and he came in and I asked Junior, he was like, oh, but mommy, I thought you said when we are eating we don't we don't talk, but you are always talking on the computer doing other stuff whilst you are eating. But anytime we are talking whilst we are eating, you tell us to be quiet. And I was like, oh, I was giving excuses at first. I was like, because I have so much to do, so I have to multitask. And then my first daughter was like, we too, we have so much to do. Sometimes we are doing our homework, but when we are doing our homework and we are doing, eating at the same time, you tell us to stop because we might make a mess on our homework. So the same way you might make a mess on your computer. At that point, I was like, you know what? No excuses because they have a valid point of what they are saying. So sometimes we might think that we are wise. We know what we are doing, but they copy from us as our panelists, and then our mommy also gave the submission. We are the best teachers, the teachers that they do have at school I would say they are secondary, but we are the primary teachers that we teach our children. So we have to be very mindful. That's why we are using the keyword authenticity, because being authentic is not easy. I mean, parenting is not easy. It's like living your life to the world. It's not just you, but you are living your life to the world, because the next generation that you are bringing forth, they are also watching. So thank you so much. That's a great one. There is a question in the chat. It says, please, can you elaborate on how you allow your children make their own choice? How? I think we as parents should guide them in making good choices. I'll read the question again. It says, please, can you elaborate on how you allow your children make their own choice? How? I think we as parents should guide them in making good choices. So the line is open.
Hello. I'll come.
Yes.
I'll come in first. Like every African parent want their child to be a medical doctor. I want you to be a lawyer, but forgetting the level of your child's intelligence or how they are able to, like, I don't know how to even put it. Like your child want to be a pharmacy, a pharmacist, and by you say no. Our family, we don't have a doctor, so you have to. So in a way like that, you cannot. You have to allow him because he is learning. You are not the one. You are not the one learning for the child. You would rather guide and look at the child, where the child intelligence, how you know the child can achieve that aim before you just guide the child to make that choice. But you don't say, I want you to be a doctor, I want to be a nurse. No. And your child said, I want to be a fashion designer. No, 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 no. We don't like that in our family. So that's the angle we rather guide them and allow them to make their choice. Like you have a teenager who want to make a choice, a marital choice in future. Because this day they plan it without you knowing as a parent. So when they bring that to your table and you allow them to make the choice. You cannot say, because in our family we don't marry this kind of tribe, so I'll not allow you. We don't marry this kind of people. So in a situation like that, you are not the one to make, because you are not the one who is going to marry that person. She is going or he is going to marry the person. So you rather give them the chance to make their choice, but you guide them. You don't allow the 100%, like the career-wise and the marital-wise. You don't make that choice for children, because if you do and guide them to make that choice, one day they will blame you for that. If they mess up in the career-wise, they will say, I wanted to be a lawyer, but my mom said I should be a doctor. By science, I'm not good at science, but my mom said I should be a medical doctor. I want to marry a Northerner, but my mom said no, we Ashantis, we marry our own people. So if they mess up in future, I say, I wanted to marry this person, but my mom said no. That is why you allow them, but you set boundaries in some way, but not to make a choice for them. That's what I see with that question.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Any of the panelists wants to
I would
give a
like to add a
submission?
few. Yeah, I would like to add a few things to what's already been said. I think there's a tendency for parents to want to live their lives through their kids. So if they had aspirations that are not fulfilled, they then try and push their child to fulfill that objective. Maybe I wanted to be a doctor, I wasn't able to make it, but I'll try and encourage or force my kid to that. That's not right. Because what we got to realize is we all what I call individual outcroppings from the divine. Everybody is different. Everybody is special. So as a parent, you really got to be sensitive to your child's natural inclinations and needs. You got to encourage them to explore interests, passions, and beliefs. Because one child may end up being the world's best soccer player. Another child might end up being the world's best musician. Another child may be the world's best surgeon or whatever. Everybody has their own gifts that they come onto the planet Earth with. We as parents are really custodians. We are guides and protectors, and we are nurturers. We've got to nurture them and encourage them to fulfill their full potential. Everybody coming onto planet Earth, you had a little contract with the divine and whispered into your ear, this is what I want you to, or it's an agreement, this is what I want you to fulfill on planet Earth. This is your contribution to humanity. And that's an individual thing. But we get into society and then we are, swayed by the flashy things or, societal pressures and the like. And that's something that we've got to guard against. We've got to be sensitive to the individual needs of the particular child. We've got to provide opportunities for self-expression and celebrate differences. It's okay to be different. Everybody is different. Everybody's unique, and make them realize that they're not in a competition with anybody. They're in competition with themselves. They've got to bring out the best version of themselves onto the planet. So they're not in competition with anybody. Everybody's unique. Everybody's special. You need to foster an open environment, which is judgment-free. Communications, as we've already said, is very, very important in this whole process. And as has been said before, you need to avoid comparisons and support autonomy whilst respecting individuality. So individuality is very, very important, I would say, in this whole business of parenting.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. Mr. Kanta, do you want to add up? I
No, I think so much has been said, and everybody. I mean, we've all the points has actually been hit. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Before Lady Na, I saw your hand up. Before you come in, I have this question to after Lady Na. Maybe you open the floor for a panelist or anybody else could answer. What would be the age? I mean, the age group that we will say we will leave our children to make certain decisions. I mean, concerning the choice that we are talking about, leaving them to make their choices. What would be the best age for us to leave them, the age group for us to leave them to make their own decisions? So that's the question that is coming up. So, Lady, now please, you can go ahead.
Okay. I think letting the kids make choices. It depends on the age or the issue at hand. If you're a little kid and sometimes you tell them, I need you to wear a jacket. We are going for grocery. Wear a jacket, it's cold. They don't want to wear it. You can take the jacket, put them in the car. As soon as they start getting cold, you give them the jacket and you tell them, you see, mommy told you, you're going to get cold. My kid did that one time. They wanted to wear high heels. I told them, you're not ready. They said, oh, I think I'm ready. I just took one slippers and put it in my bag. As soon as she walked downstairs to the car, when we got to the place, she's like, Mommy, I don't think I can do this. I'm staying in the car. I said, no. I changed it. So you have to, this is how you let them learn to listen to you. You allow them to make the least mistakes that is not going to be detrimental to their future. So then they start trusting you. Then when the big ones come, as they grow, when you make it, they will listen. Do you remember when I told you this? So you should know that I have your best interest at hand. Schooling, example, career. We know our kids. Some of them, we know that they are intellectuals. They can read a book and argue it out. You know them. You know, some people are tactile. They cannot sit 10 minutes with a book. They have to do stuff. So don't force them into something that you believe, you know them better, that they cannot do. So you gear them towards it. So when they are doing stuff, oh, see, I'm quiet, try, see, draw, no. So that they know, oh, I have an artistic thing. My mom is seeing it. so that when they are picking up the career, it won't be like everybody is a medical doctor, so I want to be a doctor. That is how you can do it. And then the marriage thing, we all have that issue. They have to explain to us, this is the reason why I don't want you to marry this person. Look at this person. This happened to them when they didn't do it the right way. So listen, if they want to do it because they are grown up and there's nothing you can do for them, you have to let them go. When something happens, open your heart. Don't say they catch real, because it's very sensitive when it's a big thing like a marriage, or they go to school and they are failing because they picked the wrong horse to steady. When they come, receive them with open arms, tell them, yeah, you made mistakes. So how do you think we can fix these things? When it's life and death, I will force my kid, because there's no way I'll let you die and I fix it. So it depends on what is going on, depends on your child's traits, personality traits. It depends on their age and all that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So I think some my question that I asked Lidina added to it. I don't know if anybody has any comment on that, the question that I asked. Okay, I see in the chat box. Let me read in the chat. Okay, it says there is a difference between imposing and guiding. You guide them by explaining to them the consequences of decisions, A versus B. Also, education wise, you guide by educating or exposing them to resources that will help with being a doctor, fashion designer. In that case, you should know your child's strength, requirements for her or him to do his career A, B, or C. Thank you so much, sister. So I believe she was explaining the difference between imposing and then guiding our children, the key words, imposing and guiding. Thank you so much. Another question. It says, how do you handle uncomfortable or difficult conversations with your children while being genuine? Example, sex, gender identity, mere sentence. This question is real. It says, how do you handle uncomfortable or difficult conversations with children while being genuine? Example, sex, gender identity, mere sentence. So please, the floor is open. Oh, this kid. Okay, Mr. Kanta, go ahead.
Well, let me see if I can help then. I think we in most cases, before they are exposed to certain things, and I think that is the beginning of our conversation where we were talking about, setting boundaries, but at the same time teaching your child and nurturing them the right way. Today, and one of the key things that I'm kind of big of right now is how society is influencing our children. I don't know if some of you keep up with some of those things, but you can see how even our educational systems today is advocating certain practices that may not necessarily meet our personal or religious or societal, whichever way we want to put it, it doesn't fit us right. Unfortunately, the conversation there to have is to start off right at home and teach the children your values. Let the family knows, hey, this is what we are, and the reason why we pick those values. So I think that the key thing that we fail to do sometimes is it sounds like we're imposing onto our children, this is how we are, or this is what we are, and that's it, without reasoning. And because we didn't have that conversation with them, and it wasn't a conversation, the child seems to feel like, oh, this is what is being imposed onto me without any reason. So sometimes it's good to have a clear sit down, let's have a conversation. Our children are not always children, I promise you. I've let my oldest is just 10, about to be 11, and I can promise you that I don't have a child in my house anymore, because even that 4-year-old is telling me things that I didn't even know that a 4-year-old can actually speak about. So we sit them down and we have rational conversations. In as much as we believe that they are children, they are not as children as we used to be back in our days. They are pre-exposed to certain things that we were not, and their mindset is very open. So have a rational conversation with a child. Tell them this is why we decide not to do this. Gender swaps or gender, all of these other things about gender. Let's not pretend like it's okay. It's not, and they are not children, and we are not going to hide it from them. Tell them it is not good. God, that is not how God created man. Created us with a man and a woman, and the man and the woman have to be together, and we do X, Y, and Z. So if we don't have that conversation with them, their society and friends and colleagues, and sometimes even the school, will teach them for us, and that is where we start to fail. That is my little opinion there. Mami Christie.
Oh, I keep talking, but oh Lord, sorry, I was on mute. So thank you so much, Mr. Okanta. This question, honestly, any more submission, because this question, is real, honestly, because a 6-year-old can ask you, mommy, so how did sometimes even this one is not even difficult. How did you and mommy met? That one is not, but they will ask you, how did you guys make babies? At some point you ask yourself, are they not too young to know the details of all this? How can I even summarize it to make it sound better? So please, let's let's help out, because these kids
No,
are asking some serious
yeah.
questions.
Sometimes when they ask you a question, they are testing you because they already know the answer.
The answer, yes.
Yeah.
So,
So you throw the question back to them.
so,
Let them feel comfortable. Acknowledge, yes, the topic is not going to be an easy one, and then throw the question back to them. Show them that you are listening. If you're having your phone in your hand or you're writing or doing something, put everything aside and then stare in their face, eyeball to eyeball, so they know you are giving them the time. You stay neutral, you're being open and honest, get the facts straight, use the right language, of course, and be clear about confidentiality, I'd say. But like Bob is saying, they already know. That's why they're asking
Hmm,
you.
it's serious. So, lady, now please, you can go ahead.
So just something funny happened to one of my friends. Whenever they are watching a video of a movie and there's a sex scene, this friend will cover the daughter's eye, to look at it. And the daughter is like 7 years, and as soon as she was sitting with the dad and the dad was watching a movie, as soon as that scene came, this girl just stretched their hands to cover daddy's face and said, Kakaweni, Omuri Amefro. It's like, how do they know that? Anyway, one of the things that I have learned, I didn't learn it early enough. My kids are in their 20s, so I didn't learn it early enough, is for every family to adopt a family mission. That is one thing that I'm learning. What is the mission of this family? Write it down. Go on internet and find a mission. And then, what are our vision? What are our values? That when I learned it, I found out that it is very, very easy. As the kids grow, we insert these values into the system, how we speak with them. And I like the last time the lady who came to teach us about the kids thing from 0 to 5 years, something like that. She had a lot of ideas about how you can incorporate godly principles into your children's life. So if we all learn these things and we incorporate it little by little as they grow, because when they were small, they asked us, when they were younger, and they asked us, all I said is, oh, God put you in my stomach, and they got it. But as they grow and you have that mission with them and you let them understand some stuff, you can openly tell them. Now my kids are in their 20s. We sit down when we talk about things and like, oh, mommy. I'm like, yeah, you need to know these things. You need to know your hormones, your cycles, and all those things. So now I can talk to them freely because I started But I was shy. I was very, very shy with the kids. I didn't want them to know. All I said, God put you in my stomach. God put you in my stomach. But everybody should get a family vision and then start implementing it. That way, as they grow, it will be easier for you to explain things to them. We want to be, like our lady said, the first mentors for our kids. If we don't do it, the world is going to take over. So this is one thing that I would recommend we do. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank
I,
you.
I have a little to add up.
Go ahead, mommy.
I remember my first son when he was growing. I was shy to tell him the male organ, you call it like this, the real name. So I told him engine. That's your engine. So as he's growing, he used to call it engine. But when he got to 16 years, he said, Mommy, you misled me. That's not a name for that. So I said, why? That mommy, you have to real. You let me mess up because whenever I meet my friends when I was younger, I always tell them it's engine.
Human engine.
So, so sometimes we have to be real. If not, they'll call us liars. Or they will even think that you don't know. They know better than you. So it's better we started now, know their ages, and tell them the real thing and the real name. Like I'll tell him that mommy, how did I come out? And I said, oh, when the time came out, the doctor took you out. I said, Mommy, but you didn't tell me the truth. You know, doctor took you in what sense? But I didn't have a C-section. So when he said, it's vaginal birth. That's how they call it. So he just came to a conclusion that I don't know. I don't know the name for that. That's what I used to say. The doctor took him out from my stomach. So it's true, we have to be real and know that they are not kids. I know a man who told me that you have never had a child because all my kids behave like adults. And it's true. Because what we know, they know better than us. So it's time we don't hide it. But you have to know the approach and the direction you're going through so that it will not mess their life up and make you be a liar.
Thank you so much. I see some comments. Yeah, I think this question is real. I see some comments in the chat. Okay, so let me start from go back. Okay. Oh, no. My oldest asked me this evening, Mommy, does Alicia have a dad? I said everyone has a father, but they might not be present in their lives. When she started poking, I was getting uncomfortable. Yeah, honestly, some of the questions, sometimes you don't even know what to say. You don't want to lie them because one thing that I've realized is if you lie them, if you lie to them today, right, they will come again with the same questions. And mind you, they don't forget. So when you change your answer the next day, they will come back and tell you, but the last time you said this. So that means you are lying. So honestly, if you don't want to lie to them, I think the best thing is to be silent and tell them I'll get back to you later and think about it because whatever that you tell them, they never forget about it. That's one thing that I've realized. If you tell them it's ABC, they will come back. It doesn't settle well to them. So they will come back again and ask you the same questions. And if you lied, trust me, your answer will change. But if you told them the truth, it will remain the same. And that's when they will realize that, oh, okay, so mommy or daddy is telling me the truth. But if it changes, then they will remind you of what you said the last time. And then they'll be like, you cannot be trusted because the last time you said this and now you are saying that. So we need to be mindful. Another point, it says, I was in church with my 11-year-old and the pastor mentioned intimacy in his sermon. He asked me right there, what is intimacy? How best can we answer this question? Please help. How best can we explain what intimacy is to an 11-year-old? The floor is open.
I will have a contribution. I would just suggest that you tell him or her the real process, but let the child know the consequence after the intimacy. I don't know if he's talking about sexual intimacy or just a regular intimacy that is between uh, parents or in a man and a woman. I don't know how the pastor put it, but if it is sexual intimacy that the pastor is talking about, I would say just explain it to the child, but let the child know the consequences ahead of it. If you are not up to that age, you can't practice it till you reach this age, and you can't practice it until you get married before you can do that. Because if you do this, the implications are this, and you're gonna the do's and don'ts. You let the child know, but I would say explain in details, because I regretted it not telling my child the real process when he was asking me those questions. But I would say be real and explain in details, but let the child know the consequences. You don't practice it now. You have to be this age before you can start practicing. You have to get married. You have to do this before you start. But to me, let the child know. It's good. They know.
Thank you so much.
Mami Chrissy, let me add on to it. And I think I want to add on to what Mami Ruth said. When we're talking about, being an authentic parent, which is the topic for the day, I think part of it is being truthful. And yes, we have to be genuine enough to be able to explain certain things to the child. One of the things that I want to put out is, I think it's already been said, when a child is asking you such a question, it's not just coming out of curiosity, but it's also because they've already perceived something else already. And their mind is trying to justify what is true and what is not, because they are not matured enough to understand it. So most of the time when they're asking you a question, the little hint of a lie that comes from a parent, it doesn't solve the answer, but it actually fuels the question. That means I will go out and seek the answer which I'm going to be satisfied with. And most of the time, the people that they ask is their friends and their internet friends and Googles and things like that. That may not necessarily share your values. So, like Mami Ruth was saying, being authentic means tell them the truth, but tell them the implications of what those actions can cost them. And sometimes we use a little bit of fear tactics, but not too too far-fetched to a point where they will eventually resent you at the end of it. But if we can keep it concise enough to tell them this is the reason why you don't do this, is because you can fall into this negative place, which I don't want you to be there. It can actually affect your future. It can cost you this, at the long run. Rationalize with them sometimes. I know it's difficult, but I'm learning that, and I have, like I said, we have little kids, so I haven't been to a place where my child is coming back to tell me what the implications of what the conversations we had was, but at least I share that with her now, and I'm hoping that openness would dwell in her to a place where she can learn from it, or maybe one day the conversation that influence her to become the better person that she is. So being genuine means let's tell the truth at all times. And yes, it's uncomfortable, but if you don't do it, somebody else will. And that person may not be, the right person to convey that information to your child. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Kanta. Any more submission? Okay, so our lady said the pastor was talking about Lot and his daughters and how they got intimate with their father. Okay, that was a follow-up on the question. Any more submission on that question about intimacy? How you can answer 11-year-old? I believe our mother and our brother has, answered, but I don't know if anybody has any more contribution to add. Okay. for the sake of time, I think we will need part 2 of this session. I mean, how many of us agree that we need part 2 of this session? Because it's 7:52 already, and we still have more questions. Okay, okay. I see the thumbs up. Okay, all right. So definitely we will have part 2 of the session. Any questions?